What's up, everybody? Skylar and Pedro back with another video. Here's another deck tech. This is my Landfall deck. This one missing a couple cards, but for the most part it's complete. We're just going to get right into it. Not even going to think about it. Here's our commander. Phylath, World Sculptor. 4 colors, red, green. When it enters the battlefield, create 0/1 green plant tokens for each basic land you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put 4 +1/+1 counters on target plant you control. So, that's basically the deck we're playing. Landfall. Got our plant tokens all right here. Got some beast tokens, elemental tokens, you'll see. But we're going to start off with our land base. Here we got played 38 lands. May bump it up, but for now we got Fabled Passage. Enters the battlefield, trigger. Sacrifice, trigger, gets a basic land. Terraformic Expanse, basic land, 2 triggers on this. Mirrored Landscape, 2 colorless, sacrifice it, 2 basic land cards, adds 2 triggers, or actually 3 triggers because it's a land itself. Another 2 triggers. Evolving Wilds. Now this one adds a trigger itself, Blighted Woodland, but then when we play 3 colorless and a green, up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tap, 2 more triggers. Now you have Panorama. Sacrifice to search the library for a mountain, forest, or plains card. And now we got the bounce lands. Add a red, green, command tower, of course. This is a real nice card. You have a Cradle of Growth. Each land is a forest in addition to its other land types. Real nice. Beseiju Who Endures. Playing Landfall, but channel. Colorless and agreed. Discard it. Destroy target artifact or enchantment or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player must search the library for a basic land card with a basic land type. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less for each legendary creature you control. Then we just go into our basic lands. We don't really play too much utility lands, but we got all these forests and then mountains for a total of 38 lands, including the lands you've seen before. Just wanted to touch into the land base a little bit. Now we're going to get into the actual deck. Artifacts, more triggers, 2 colorless, put the land into the battlefield tapped. Wayfarer's Bauble. Gotta give our commander hexproof and haste. Soul Ring, good old Soul Ring, add 2 colorless. Seer's Sundo, 4 colorless. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card. So it just allows us to keep replenishing our hand. Arcane Signet, got a tap for mana. Life Crafter, Bisteri, 3 colorless. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green if you do draw a card. Allows us to get card draw. Now we're just going to get into the creatures. All the creatures we have benefit from Landfall. And we're just going to get right into it, guys. Starting off with our Mana Dwarf, Llanowar Elves. Add a green. Goblin, Archomancer, red, green. Each spell you cast that's red or green, costs 1 less to cast, makes everything cheaper. Allows us to get a landfall trigger. Tribe Elder, you already know. Got this right here, Secret Lair, Corsair of Krufix. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may pay the top card of your library if it's a land card, and whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Living Twister allows us to bounce lands to our hand, discard a land, deals 2 damage to any target, red, red, green, but 1 colorless and a red, discard it, a green, return a tap land. So if we run out of lands to play, it allows us to bounce it and keep getting triggers off. It's very important. Augur of Autumn, look at the top card of the library at any time. You may play lands from the top of your library. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That's very important. Another Secret Lair, Dryad of the Hessian Grove. This deck is pretty much upgraded heavily. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control out of every basic land type in addition to the other types. So mana fixes us. Right here we got extended art, Rada, Heart of the Celt. As long as it's your turn, she has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Play lands from the top of your library. She gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. So that last ability right there, very strong. Allow us to play on the top of our library. Now here we got the God. We got the God of Clothes, God of Destiny. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat phase, exile a target card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, add a red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and it deals 2 damage to each opponent. So, Kadama of the West. Modify creatures you control have trample. So basically, when we put counters on anything we have, it's going to become modified. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat deal with its player, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tap. More triggers on top of triggers on top of triggers. Spring Bloom Druid, sacrifice a land when it enters. Look for 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield. Double the trigger. This one comes in the battlefield with 2 counters on it. Remove the counters. You get to remove the counters and search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap. Just more ways to get triggers. Really like this card. Topiary Stomper, colorless in a green. Vigilance, enters the battlefield, search the library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap. Can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. We are playing Landfall, that's going to be no problem. Elvish Rejuvenator, enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them on the battlefield tap, put the rest on the bottom. So it just allows us to look at the top 5, get another trigger. Real nice. Azusa, Lost but Seeking. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. So we're going to play 3 lands a turn. Trigger on trigger on trigger. Yavama, Dryad, Forest Walk. And with our other land, that makes each land an additional forest. Helps with her, allows her to just swing in, but when she enters the battlefield, you may search the library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield tapped under target player's control. If you do, shuffle your library. So we're going to put it under our control. Minia and Den, real nice, allows us to play an additional land on each of our turns. We can return a land to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample and 10 a turn. So it just allows us to bounce lands back to our hand, so that way we continue to have triggers. Now this is a newer set card, but Rulek Mons, Warren Chief, got the glass artwork. Menace attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you didn't put a card onto the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin. So either way, we get something out of it. This card right here is also nice. Green Sleeves Morrow Sorcerer, 3 colorless green. Protection from Planeswalkers and from Wizards. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green Badger token. Kind of crazy. Keeper of Fables. Whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Now, a lot of our cards in here are not human, so we're going to be drawing a ton of cards. Tatiana, Protector of Argrath, 3 colorless, 2 green. Enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And whenever land is control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 5/3 elemental creature token onto the battlefield. Typical landfall trigger, Rampaging Bullets. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 green beast. Now, Avenger of Zendikar, 3 colorless, 2 red. Add 0/1 green plant creature tokens onto the battlefield for each land you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is different than our commander, because this is whenever a land enters the battlefield and it creates a 0/1 for each land. Our commander is basic land, but this one is not. So, but it still benefits. Our commander puts 4 +1/+1 counters on one plant. This one puts a +1/+1 counter on each plant. Beanstalk Giant allows us to send it on an adventure, look for a basic land, later play it for its cost. Last card, Omnith, Locus of Rage. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. When Omnith of Rage or another elemental you control dies, it deals 3 damage to any target. So, allows us to create elementals just from lands entering the battlefield. It's kind of crazy. Getting into our Planeswalkers, we played 2 of them. Ren and 7, 3 colorless, green, green. +1, reveal the top 4 cards of the library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom. Now this one, 0 colorless, put any number of lands from your hand onto the battlefield tap. Kind of crazy. -3, create a green tree folk token with reach, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. -8, return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem. You have no maximum hand size. So he's a real nice commander. This artwork right here is the reason why I got it. It is Japanese, but basically what it says is whenever you tap land for forest, add an additional forest to it, and its +1 is 3 +1/+1 counters onto a land. Untap it, it gains vigilance and haste. It is an elemental 0/0, and it's still land. Her -8, she basically allows all our lands to be indestructible. Look for all forest inside of our deck, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and it's kind of crazy with our lands being indestructible and all forests hitting the battlefield at once. If our commander's out, that's literally a lot of triggers. This right here, Primal Vigor, if one or more tokens would be put onto the battlefield, we're going to create a lot of tokens. So we're going to create twice that many tokens. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be placed on a creature, put twice that many. So if we put 4, we put 8. Kind of crazy. The mending of Dominaria, mill 2 cards, then you may return this creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Allows us to get stuff out the graveyard in case we're sacrificing it. Continue to do the triggers. If you would draw a card, you may instead choose land or non-land card. Reveal cards from the top of your library into a reveal card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and put all the other cards revealed this way. Just allows us to choose what we want. If we need a land, we'll get a land no matter what. Rites of Flourishing. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. Real nice card. We're going to be outlanding our opponents, outplaying them with our landfalls. And this just basically, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a quest counter, remove 3 quest counters, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Another enchantment, Rhythm of the Wilds. Creatures you control can be countered. Very important. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter on it or haste. So that's very important for us to give our creatures haste or +1/+1 counters. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature of power 4 or greater, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until you exile another card. This just allows me to play more than one card, get an extra card in hand. Zendikar roll. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 green elemental creature token. Synergizes with the deck. Retreat Kozandu. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you gain 2 life. That's real nice. Magma Quake deals X damage to each creature without flying and each planeswalker. Just a little board wipe. Don't have Blasphemous Act in here. I should throw it in here, but I got too many decks to be owning too many cards, and I'll upgrade it once I get it. But Harrow has an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Rolling Regrowth, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Struggle deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control or you have survived. Aftermath, each player shuffles their graveyard into the library. So in case we have too many cards in the library or the graveyard, we get to get that back. Return to Nature, nice little foil. One of my favorite green cards, but colorless in the green. Choose one, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or exile target card from a graveyard. Multiple choices. Same as this. Return of the Wild Speaker, 4 colors in the green. Choose one, draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, which a lot of our creatures are non-human and powerful. So non-human controls get +3/+3. It either allows us to draw cards or, bump it up. Kodama's Reach. Look for 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put one onto the battlefield tapped, other into the hand. Landfall triggers. This right here, Bala Bed Get recovery, 2 colors in the green. It's a land on the back, but the front of it's real nice. Return card from your graveyard to your hand. So acts as both. So technically we played 39 lands. Broken Bond, colorless in the green, destroy target artifact or an enchantment. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Allows us to destroy something and put a land. That's real nice. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Just allows us to sacrifice stuff and bring it back, because we do sacrifice a lot of lands, but we are able to bring it back. There's a couple cards in here I'm missing, like the little snake that allows you to play lands from your graveyard, but slowly we'll continue upgrading the deck. Far Wandering, search a library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. To 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Instead, search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. So either we're going to look for 1 or 3. Dire, Strain, Rampage, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. If it was a land destroyed this way, its controller may search a library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, shuffle its controller. Otherwise, its controller may search their library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tap. So most likely we're going to destroy our own land, get 2 triggers off that. Migration Path, same type of thing. Search a library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. We got a lot of ramp in here because we want to get our lands going, the ramp going. Ground Assault deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. You know you want to deal damage to something that's real powerful. Another ramp. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Another ramp. Reveal the top X cards of your library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. If there are 2 or more instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, untap those lands. That's pretty nasty. That's real nasty. Coming up on the last card, Grow from Ashes. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If the spell was kicked, instead search your library for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. That's our deck tech, guys. That's our commander. You already know, try to do it pretty quick. Get through it, but that's our commander. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe. Till next time, guys. Peace out.